Welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline. This week, we're sitting down with an organization that supports veteran mental health across the country. One of those topics that we discuss quite often, very important to us. And one, they're just doing amazing things. So can't wait to get into this discussion to find out what they're doing and how you can get involved with it. I'm here with my riding buddy, charging strong through this post-military life on horseback. How you doing today, Keith?
I'm doing great. I will say though, if I'm on horseback, somebody lied on my medical profile. And I thought I'd be in the wagon with the snacks. But anyway, no, it's great to be here, Sean. Thank you so much for having me, Maria. Like, what in the world is going on right now? But looking forward to this episode. It's going to be great.
You want to be in the wagon, my feet are dragging on the ground still. So, I mean, it's all good.
I should have gone that direction when I come back.
All right.
No horse can hold you. But anyway.
Oh,
if you haven't met him in person, Maria, he's like 18 feet tall. He's a ginormous man. So.
My husband's 6'3" and I'm 5'8", so
just a little
fellow. Sean's a little taller than that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I apologize if you hear my son breaking the house in the background.
It's like someone's breaking dishes. All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Today we're sitting down with Maria Cherjovsky. She is a nonprofit CEO, Amazon best-selling author, international speaker, and real estate investor with more than 25 years of leadership across nonprofit management, higher education, workforce development, and the public-private partnerships. She currently serves as the chief executive officer for the Comaraderie Foundation, a national nonprofit providing free mental health counseling, peer mentorship, and transition support to veterans, service members, and their families in all 50 states and 6 countries. Before the Comaraderie Foundation, Maria spent nearly 2 decades at the University of Central Florida leading workforce development programs serving adult learners, veterans, and dislocated workers, including international delivery across Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, and Europe. She served as VP of Mission Services and Workforce Innovation at Goodwill Industries of Central Florida. Almost 50,000 people served annually in that role. COO of the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida and the National Executive Director of
Mucopurposis multiplex congenita.
Yeah, it's exactly what she said. Support Inc. And real quick, what is that?
It is a rare disease. Have you ever heard of clubfoot?
Yeah.
That's what most people know. So it is a degenerative disorder developed in the womb, right, where the joints don't quite form the way they should. So you'll see wrists that are turned inwards at a more than 90-degree angle, but it can really happen in any joint. So it can be shoulders, hips, knees, feet. So this kids, because they're born with it, they tend to go through a number of surgeries, and many of them will wear braces. If you remember the movie Forrest Gump, it's not too far from that to really help straighten the bones as much as they can, if they have enough muscle and if they have enough joint tissue or soft tissue, I should say, to bring back some mobility so they can have as normal of a life as they could.
Fantastic. We all learned something today. That is,
yeah, totally.
That is great. From 2012 to 2019, she served as president of the Florida Diversity Council Central Florida region, partnering with Fortune 500 organizations on inclusion strategy, growing membership to 800 plus across 5 counties. And she is highly decorated in many areas. Maria, you just have an amazing resume. You have had your hands in so much, and you do so much for our community. It is such an honor to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for the invite.
Now we're excited to have you on here, and always excited when we get to talk to organizations that I didn't know a whole lot about you guys until fairly recently. So it's always exciting to learn more about an organization and get to talk with the people and find out all the great work you're doing. So definitely looking forward to jumping into that. But before we do, how did you get to the point where you were working with veterans in the military community? Like, where did that stem from?
It actually started about 3 decades ago. So I have 32 years now working with veterans in different capacities. Wow. When I started in academia, so I immigrated to the US in 94, and I was limited based on my student visa, then academics and such, and I started working in academia. I loved it. I knew I had a path. I spent 22 years in that space, different areas. But as I moved between community colleges and the university, I got the honor, truly, to learn about the associate degrees and certifications on vocational rehab and all of those kinds of transition programs for people for whom the one size fits all did not really work. And I love that because as an immigrant myself, it resonated with me. And the fact that not everybody's going to pursue a 4-year college degree or 12 years of college like I did and stack degrees. It's just not for everybody. And so I love the fact that, at least in the US, there's mechanisms in place to help people find their way and their footing. And it was in that space when I was working at Seminole State College that I really got exposed to vocational rehabilitation, especially, of course, with veterans. And so I learned a lot about the physical handicaps. I learned about mental health, what it was like to transition, the kinds of programs. So I was spearheading the associate's degree certification and workforce development at that stage in my career. And I loved the fact that I could develop programs or services to help them do that. So when I moved back to the University of Central Florida, and at that point, I had come from engineering and I was leading continuing education. I had a whole new platform to really be creative as far as creating and establishing a training institute that could cater to disadvantaged people, those that are underserved. So I made sure that veterans were always in the mix. Right? There's always retirements, there's always deployments, there's always coming back, there's always long term careers, and the struggles are the same. And so I didn't really know much about the mental health piece at that time, but it was more about the transition services getting back on their feet, transition to civilian life, and back on a job that they love, that they can feel committed to, they can find purpose, and they can earn a good living, while also facilitating the path of least resistance to go from point A to point B. That was really my goal. And when I left academia in 2018 and I went to Goodwill, I got exposed to veterans again. I was spearheading one of the many projects was a federal project called HRVP. It's homeless veteran rehabilitation integration or program. And so now we have homelessness added to the vocational transition and rehabilitation. And then I became the president of the Central Florida Disability Chamber of Commerce. And a big project we had was BBI, Veteran Business Initiative. So it was for veterans who were in transition looking for entrepreneurship. So every job that I had, right, had the same pieces. So then when I went to the Coalition for the Homeless, we had an $800,000 contract with Veteran Affairs, and I had a whole wing just for veterans who were dealing with homelessness, mental health, substance abuse, so on and so forth. So with every one of my jobs, I can pinpoint the correlation with veteran services and transition services. So when I was called upon to take on this role and join Comaraderie as the CEO, it was really a no-brainer because I was, for the first time in my career, able to focus on just one demographic, one set of people, and really cater to them holistically. And that's something that I found a lot of passion in, and I've been doing that now for 3 years.
That's fantastic. And let's be honest, we're a special breed that needs all the attention we can get. So it's
Yeah,
uh,
and I have another affinity, I must say. My husband wanted to be a pilot, but he couldn't for health reasons. But his grandfather served in the army for 34 years, and both of his uncles, they served also in the army, one for 4, one for 8. So we do have some military in the family. I'm not married to one, I'm not one, but it's still within the family umbrella.
that's fantastic. And I mean, we're lucky to have you. I mean, you've been blazing a trail for 3 decades, like you pointed out. So just kudos on all the work you've done and all the work I know you're going to do here with Camaraderie Foundation. So
Thank you.
just really, really impressed. Um, let's not waste any time. Mental health is a big, big thing for our community. You see the impacts of mental health affect the employment. They infect homelessness. They impact so many different aspects of our lives, marriages, etc. And there's so many things that start to, not that they weren't there, but a lot of things we've seen, at least in my experiences, a lot of stuff starts to fester to the top during transition. As you're getting out of the military, you're losing that camaraderie you had in the your battle buddies and things like that, and you're looking for that new future and kind of uncertain. A lot of these things start to come forward. So, um, tell us about the Comaraderie Foundation and what your mission is, what you guys are doing.
So the abbreviated version is that we address the invisible wounds of war, right? And a lot of people will say, well, but not all our veterans go to war. True, but you also have the internal war, right? And that's how I like to refer to it because there's still a struggle, a mental health struggle with the separation from the family. You chose a path of service to serve your nation, but now you may have a family that you left behind. You may have a partner or spouse and children who, if you become a professional or a military, and if you have a full career, many people do serve 20, 26, 32 years. The families are not always able to follow, depending on the service, depending on the rank, depending on the kind of role that they're in. And with special ops, which we see a lot of, that's even more of a concern. So the mental health really does play a big role. So for us to heal that piece of it that is not always seen, noticed, or spoken about is a very important part of our mission. Because just like you said, it permeates into every aspect of the life. The relationships with friends, we see those dying down when they become isolated. The dynamic within the household, the friction with the spouse, partner, the relationship with the kids looking at the parents and going, you weren't here for when I got sick or my graduation or my birthday. So it's like, how do you fit in the family environment anymore when you weren't a player or a role model? Yes, you're my dad, you're my mom, but you were far away. You weren't here for when I fell down and scraped my knee or my graduation or the parent teacher conference. So those are the kinds of things that, as simple as they sound, they do impact the individual. But that's why I use the term they permeate into the family unit. And the one thing that veterans need is the support system, and that starts at home. So when they're not able to get that because of the friction, the isolation, and everything else, that's also when we step in. So one of the things that we do is not just the mental health, but transition services, but also community building. We have a program that we call Family Fun Days because we want to have fun and we do make it fun. But the goal really is to build camaraderie, to bring them back to feeling connected to people, that instant connections, relatability of you get me, you know what we've gone through, you know what we've seen. And sometimes those invisible ones of war is not because they were in battle or in war, it's what they were exposed to, right? The stories they heard. And we have so many veterans that will come to us and their main suffering is, somebody from their platoon who took their lives. And they said, so many of my buddies took their lives. That is enough to make everybody question everything about their careers, their choices, their lives. So it's not just the family, it's not just the individual, it's the entire environment and the shared experiences that have impacted everybody for life. So the three areas that we focus on, as I mentioned before, is the mental health, which is what we're mostly known for. And we call it mental health counseling, although under the counseling umbrella, you have the traditional psychological counseling, you have the psychiatric involvement, you have the new technologies like EMDR, if you need to reassess and establish the connection between trauma, the eyes, the brain, and how you process those trauma scenarios. So you can look at it from afar and reconcile what happened versus continuing to live in that moment or reliving it time after time. I was in a car accident last year that almost killed me, and I have PTSD from it too. And so I was constantly thinking and dreaming of that, and I couldn't get out of that cycle. And so I understand what that can feel like. So, and then for the mental health counseling that is impacting the family unit, we treat the entire family, not just the veteran, not just the active service member. We look at the entire family unit because it is critical that they have a support system that will carry them through that journey. So for those, some of them will come to us and say, listen, I don't want just a psychiatrist or a counselor. I want faith-based. I want my faith to be part of this journey to really help us anchor in what our marriage was all about, the commitment that we made to one another in the eyes of God. And so we also bring the faith-based component. That's also a piece of our mission. How do we do this? So we technically employ on a 1099 80 plus mental health counselors, but we also subcontract across the nation through a network that we created that is now at about 715 of them.
Wow.
And we did that intentionally. Not everybody gets clients every year because of a funding limitation, of course, but the goal is to be prepared for whenever we get the call. So if they're deployed, they moved, they know about us, word of mouth, you saved my buddy's life. Can you help me too? But I live in, I don't know, I'm in Hawaii, or I can be in Alaska, or I can be like last year, South Korea, UK, Bahamas, Germany. We still answer the call. And so the vast majority have not really embraced telehealth. And so that's why the network has to be as broad as it is to be able to find people that can meet with them in person and help them through that journey. And we have a very unique triage process to make sure that they build relatability from the get go. And they can dive straight into the challenge and the issues and work through them before they change their mind, because they can get cold feet too. The next thing, as I mentioned before, is the community building. That's the family fun days. We'll take them to the theater. We'll do a picnic. We'll go to the Tampa Aquarium, Busch Gardens. We do an event at SeaWorld with 500 people. We'll go to the Orlando Magic to watch a game because we want to get them out of isolation. We want them to get out in the community. We want them to come out with their families. Remember what it's like to have fun. We want them to get their brains oxygenated, right? We want to move them away from the isolation, the pity party, which I hate to call it that, but we all suffer from that at moments in time. So the moment you distract the brain from that cycle, you can break it and then focus on the positive things. Was the good things that you have, the good things that are happening for you, the fact that you're healthy, the fact that you can walk, the fact that you can find a job, the fact that you can have a lot to live for. So when we build community, we're able to reinforce that in an informal manner, separate from the formal mechanisms that we have in place, which they may be a bit more hesitant to join us for. So we offer the formal pathways and the informal ones. And then, of course, the third one is transition services. Not everybody needs mental health support. Some of them do, but they're not ready, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes they join us through a different entry point, and that entry point may be, hey, I'm about to separate in about 6 months. I'm not going to wait. I need help getting some doors open and some opportunities, and I need to have a job because they don't want to be unstable or destabilized financially. They don't want to question where the next paycheck will be coming from. And they're just anxious and eager to get things going because they want that continuity. And that's where we meet them with the mentor leadership program. It's not a employment program, it's a hybrid. We provide a lot of what they see on the transition program when they finish their service.
Yeah.
But we all hear the same thing. It's like drinking through a fire hose. No one's fully listening. It's a lot to take in. And it doesn't resonate with you until you're in that modality, in that thought process of, okay, I really got to make this work. So we meet with them for about 9 months. There's an application process. We have about 60 mentors. We just graduated 22 prodigies. We try to assign one, at least, if not two mentors per individual. And we do that somewhat scientifically. We look at their experience, the gender, the age, the career pathway, their industry, expectations, hopes, goals, and dreams. And then we look for experts in that space that can help, like the phone a friend. So while we meet once a month at different locations to showcase different industries, different topics like resiliency, grit, communication skills, resume writing, interviewing skills, maximizing benefits that they may be entitled to, and how to handle the civilian life, the transition, the timelines. The reality of you may have left the military at a high ranking official, but don't expect to go into the workforce with a similar title. Like a colonel cannot expect to go into vice president always. Maybe in business development, yes, but in a different kind of role, you may have to work your way up unless you're very well connected, which on occasion happens. So we tackle all of that through that transition program. And for the top students, as we like to call them, we gift them with scholarships to continue that path, whereby they can attend Leadership Seminole, Leadership Orlando, Leadership Winter Park, and Leadership Hillsboro. So they can continue building their network, professional network, learn about the community where they're going to be living and working, and carve their own path as they continue that journey. And of course, that also feeds into paying it forward, because some of them come back as class advisors, committee members for us, or sometimes they volunteer, and we get to know them very well. So when they were on stage one by one next week, they were crying, they were hugging me. We get to know their stories. We get to know a lot about them personally and watch them grow over those 9 months as well. So that's another piece of community building, and we just love it.
Well, I will say we could end the episode right there. That was hands down the best breakdown we've ever received, I think, as far as services for an organization. You nailed everything. But there's so much there, Keith. I don't even know. Like I'm speechless. They do a lot more than I understood they did, and I really love the fact that there's a faith-based component. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You're muted. You just said the smartest things in the
Sorry,
world,
I
and
was
nobody heard it.
yeah, no, I was saying I got nothing. That's what I was saying. 'Cause I was like, I normally have all these follow-up questions, and that was so thorough. I'm like, I'm trying to think outside the box to even come up with a follow-up, but I had to be on mute because, despite the recording, my son decided I want eggs and came downstairs still on a phone call, doing his thing. But so there was something I was thinking about, and while you were talking, so I guess I'll ask on that because it's primarily focused around the veteran, right? But the family members, right? The spouses and the family members, they can get burnt out, carrying the load, trying to help that service member. So what would you say? I don't know why this kind of popped in my head while you're talking. Like, what would you say is the first sign that they should be watching for within themselves regarding burnout? And what's kind of a realistic first step um, for them to get help without feeling like they're failing the veteran as well?
That's a great question. I love that because everything that we do includes the partners and spouses that I should have mentioned. Although, thank you for the thoroughness. I am known for being quite thorough. On the mentor leadership, we also invite spouses, right? Because they may have stayed home with the kids while their partner was deployed, and now that they're back, they're like, "Hey, now I'm ready for a career of my own." Right. And so we invite them both, or the spouse followed the military partner throughout their career around the world. I mean, amazing exposure and opportunities. But now they're like, I'm ready to pursue my own dreams, my own aspirations, which I put on hold to help you, right? And that happens a lot too. So we try to embed the family unit. And like I said, the Family Foundation is for families. The mental leadership, we invite spouses. We just had a Gold Star spouse that went through the program as well. I took her under my wing as well for that reason. And, they need that reinforcement. And of course, for mental health, I mentioned earlier, we treat the veteran, and the family as well if the issues are felt. So what are the things they can look for? I think the veterans already know, right? I don't feel like myself. I have all these questions, suicidal ideations, short temper. We tend to see two things on the veteran side that come up, and then I'll answer the family. Especially for suicidal ideations, two types of ultimatums, because I love data. So it's like, okay, what are the themes we're seeing? There's a lot, right? I don't know where to start. I'm new in the area. We moved here because of my in-laws, because a buddy told me I can find a job, but I do not know anyone. Where do I start? There's a lot they're going through. But when they really reach the breaking point, right, is when we see the suicidal ideations peak. They see two things. One is a partner that told them, get your act together or we're done.
Yeah.
Or the same thing applies at work. Start performing or I'm going to have to let you go. And so that tells us that things have been happening for a while until they reach the breaking point. And that's where they tend to call for help. And that's what we know we need to act very quickly. And we're able to get them in with a counselor or mental health professional within same day or within 24 hours. And we pride ourselves in doing that because we know that time is of the essence. We have had people calling with suicidal ideations, and we have had to take action. And so we don't have any time to waste. So overlay that with the families or the spouses and partners. They see this happening. It didn't happen overnight. They didn't just wake up one day and say, there's something wrong with my boyfriend, my husband, or opposite, my wife. They've seen it. So what's happening with them? They feel alone. They feel unsupported. They feel that they have carried the load for so long that I don't know how this person fits in my life anymore. So now they start to question, do I even want to be married? Like I was married because, they were deployed, but now that they're here, they start to question, are we really a couple? Are we really a family? Is there room for them? I'm taking care of everything. What are they going to contribute and how? So now they start to rethink the family dynamics, the relationship. And they also start to take into account, well, this person was gone for so long. They fulfilled their dreams, or at least that was the plan. I didn't. Now they're here. They're dealing with their own stuff. When is it my turn? So there's a resentment component to that as well. So I love you, but I resent you. I love you, but it's always about you. I love you, but now you came in with issues. You're not yourself anymore. You're not the spouse partner that left. Who are you? So now they have to get to know each other again. And for a partner, that is a heck of a lot to cope with. And so if they're not really strong as a family unit, and again, that's where the community building comes in place because it's something that most of them don't share. This is not a new concept. It's really hard for them to get through that on their own. That's why the counseling is for the entire family if they need it. The community building is for everybody so they can have a support system. It's like, I was there. We were able to get past it. Don't give up on it. Don't give up on him, on her, the relationship. But there's a lot of mixed emotions, right? I was hoping, it's like, I put my life on hold. I took care of the house, the kids, everything until you came back because of the future that we dreamt of, because of the career that you wanted to have. Now you came back and you're not you anymore. I don't know who you are, but you're not the person that left. I was able to establish a life, momentum, handle things without you. So do I truly need you? And by the way, for career military, 20 years went by and I had to put my life on hold. I don't know that I can forgive you for that because now it's your turn to help me. And are you willing to do for me what I did for you? And so I think that those kinds of emotions is really what families need to look at. And again, I'm not a clinician, so I'm not licensed or certified to do that, but I've been around them again for 30 some years. So I think that I'm somewhat equipped to speak to the things they have shared with me. And I think that, I'm married too. So I think we all go through some of that in relationships, but I think it's only exacerbated because when you have your partner with you for years, you get to see those changes and you get to recommit. Do I still want to stay? Do I not want to stay? When your partner's gone for a career that is contributing to our nation, to our safety, to our freedom, providing financially, you don't see those subtle changes. So when the person comes back, you're looking at them like, my husband, my wife, you know my partner. So now they need to relearn one another. So overlay that with the resentment, the my dreams that were put on hold. How are you going to help me? It can't always be about you. You were gone. Now that you're back, now I have to help you because of your mental health or because your physical challenges or because your buddies. At what point is it not about you? So I think that can really sum up what happens in the family dynamic and why they have so much to work through if both parties are not aware of what is taking place and what they need to do together. It's not one or the other, it's together to overcome that if that is what they want to do. Many couples end up getting divorced. Our founders, same thing. This is how the organization got started. It was a husband and wife, Marty McPhee and Michael Waldrop. He went, I think, on 6 tours, something like that. And when he came back, with every return, they're like, he's not the same person that left. And he was the first person to acknowledge that. And when they finally said is impacting the family, they were talking about the D word, right? The potential for divorce. He's like, I don't get the support from VA or anybody else to, and I hate to say that, but it's true, to get me to where I need to go. So thankfully he had the financial means to get the help that he needed and said, you know what, I feel really bad for my brothers and sisters in the military who are not able to access that, whom by the time they get to that point, their marriage may be too far gone, the relationship with the kids may not be something they can recover from because the kids also feel resentment, right? It's like, you can't tell me, you can't come back home and tell me how to behave or act like a dad. You weren't here. Why should I listen to you when you weren't here? So the parent figure, mother or father, is trying to insert themselves in the family dynamic. And you're like, why should I listen to you again? And so that kind of friction is where we talk about permeating in the family environment. And so for our founders, it was the same thing. And they decided to form this organization to help others access the resources that may not be able to get otherwise. So that with faith based, because spirituality is part of the mission, and with the right supports readily available within same day or 24 hours, we can help them with the family dynamics, avoid the divorce, but more importantly, save them from themselves if they were considering suicide. So since 2009, we've been doing this and quite successfully, and the demand still far exceeds what we're able to do.
Yeah, yeah. I we'll just hit record and you and I can sit here and shut up, Keith. I mean, this is
and it's all good stuff. And,
yeah, it's fantastic.
and the mental well-being, the suicide aspect is so important. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would guarantee you also see a lot of substance abuse and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that as well.
yeah. About
Because I've
50% of
seen
our
it
clients.
firsthand.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
50% of our clients. I mean, if you want some stats, on the mental health alone, we see about 350 people that we treat every single year. The inquiries far exceed that. We see about 25% attrition from the moment they call to when they start because they're like, I need help. And then they're like, I don't know that I'm ready to face my demons. That's what they say. Um, we see almost an equal number. The last ones that I checked, it was 51 male, 49 female, which I was surprised because for a while it was mostly males. About 30 to 32% are dependents, spouses, partners, and kids. Even parents. We're getting calls from parents. My son just got deployed. He signed up for the military. We never thought that would happen. But now there talks about war and they're gone. Is my child going to come back? And so we're seeing a whole new generation that is now being exposed to things they didn't think they would. Um, and what else was I sharing? See, now I lost my train of thought. The statistics.
Just yeah.
So about 50% of our clients, because we don't do substance abuse, we refer them out. It's really hard to focus on mental health if you are on any kind of substance.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
do report on what they self-report, and 50% of our clients have self-reported a dual diagnosis of PTSD, anxiety, and substance abuse. If that was self-reported, I would venture to say the numbers are higher than that. And then for the female clients that we serve, 25% of them, sometimes more, have reported military sexual trauma.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as far as branches, it's mostly Army, Caucasian, because we look at demographics from different perspectives. Yeah. And we do a lot with special ops as well, especially when we go into Tampa. They're very active in MacDill and with SOCOM, and especially with everything happening in Europe. There's a lot of activity there. So special ops is very big as far as our clients are concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, especially based on where you guys are located too. But
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I'm just so happy you joined us to share what you guys are doing. This is one of those organizations that I honestly hadn't heard much about. Heard through a couple of friends and learned about it. And you guys are right in my own backyard. So so glad to hear that you guys are out there doing what you're doing. I think your services are amazing. I think with your knowledge of your mission and what you guys are doing is just second to none. It's just a phenomenal, like I said, probably the best breakdown I've ever heard about what an organization does. And they're so lucky to have you at the helm. I look forward to seeing what you guys can do moving forward. And then thank you for what you're doing for our community. It's much
Absolutely.
needed. And, I know years and years people have talked about the divorce rate. That single one, just the divorce rate. Let's not even talk mental health. The divorce rate in the military is just ridiculous, especially after 20 years of war, through 20 years of war. So, um, much needed, and really applaud the efforts you guys have going on. Um,
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And the work is not done, right? So I know that we got connected through Baron, and he looks at what we do as a Venn diagram. So the three different areas, and we're in the middle. I have redefined that. I look at it as the life, right? The life of an individual, the life of a veteran. So each of the areas that we support, we can think of them as moments in time with interventions. So when I look at it from that perspective, which is the cultural shift I'm working on internally with the team on the board, it also shows areas where we have not played a role. So what the future holds for us, and where people who may be listening can also play a role besides volunteering, committees, donations, joining the board. There's a lot they can do. They can host us for events. But there's new things coming that may appeal to them as well. Not everybody loves to be part of mental health. It can be challenging because in some ways we all suffer from mental health, especially after COVID. I think it has somewhat leveled the playing field in some ways where we can all really think or point to the impact they had on us or close ones. But what are we working on? So if you look at that about the life, right? Um, we're working more on the prevention side. So what are the triggers that can destabilize someone? So the coping mechanisms, the grit, the resilience, the substance abuse management, the financial management, not just financial literacy, but financial resources. And then, of course, there's going to be an in between, which we haven't defined yet because we go through from transition, trying to prevent the mental health breakdown. We go on the community building if they're new to the area or just if they need it. And of course, transition services. But in the transition piece, I will be remiss if I didn't bring my workforce development background. So I want to bring training, certifications, and other tools that can help accelerate that process so that they can really have an opportunity to get those jobs sooner than later, and not just based on what they did in the military, because what do most veterans struggle with? Translating that into corporate
yeah.
jobs. And so we can help mitigate some of that if we overlay some training and certifications to what they already have in a manner that it gives them a leg up to be more competitive in the application process, but also something that employers will recognize. So maybe they will be less focused on, I don't understand the resume if they didn't have someone help them in translating the skill sets, but I do acknowledge and recognize their credentials. So if those certifications are known, they're more likely to get hired into good paying jobs. So that's another area we're moving into so that we can look at the full life cycle of the veteran and where we can add additional services. Because we know how
Fantastic.
confusing it is with thousands and thousands of nonprofits. They get lost. It's like a needle in a haystack. I go here for this, I go there for that, I have to go somewhere else for that. Eventually they give up. It's like, how many people do I need to talk to? And every conversation is like I'm starting from scratch. And that can be very exhausting because they have to relive things through that dialogue. Whereas with us, once we know what they're dealing with, we can find the right path for them.
That's fantastic. I can't say enough about it, Keith. All right, we're at time. We could easily go. I don't know, another hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
They
Sorry.
do a lot. Really fantastic organization.
Yeah, no, this has been amazing stuff. And yeah, unfortunately, we got to wrap this up. But Maria, before we go, one last question.
Yeah.
How do people reach out and get in touch with you to support, to partake? And how do people reach out and get in touch to partake in the Camaraderie Foundation services?
So our website really is the main portal they can use, whether they're choosing to volunteer. We take volunteer forms online. If they find it upon themselves to make a donation to help our mission, they can process a donation online. We have our events coming up. We have a PTSD awareness breakfast. We have a 5K or a gala, a golf tournament. If they want to sponsor, they can also do that online. They want to sign up to attend, they can do that online. And our contact information is also on the website, and they can reach out to me. It's my first initial last name at ComaraderieFoundation.org. I engage with a lot of people in the community who want to just explore what they can do, anywhere from I have an affinity, I have a son, I love someone, my spouse, my parents. How can I be of service? And then we explore what that looks like: committees, volunteerism, ambassadorships, board members. helping us source donations for the silent auctions for the gala or sponsorships as well. And for the mental leadership program, we're starting to welcome companies as well, as far as them bringing their own veteran employees, so that if they are unsure if they will stay or they can see them struggle, let's avoid them hopping to the next job and giving up on that one. By them coming to our program, we can become part of the stabilization process and the retention strategy for the employer. So there's plenty of options for individuals, for faith-based organizations, families, and corporations.
Awesome. Yeah, no, yeah, such amazing stuff y'all are doing. Yeah, I had no idea it was such a, yeah, I mean, y'all are doing it all. So it's amazing. Thank you so much, Maria, for everything you are doing for the military community. Truly honorable and admirable. And thanks for coming on the show and sharing it all. I mean, this has been an amazing episode. So, and on behalf of the entire VET S.O.S family, we want to thank everyone for spending their time with us. It's always great having you along for the ride. Don't forget to check out all of our other episodes and keep coming back for more stories, insight, and support from the VET S.O.S crew. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a follow, share the show, tell a friend or two. Toss your battle buddies, fire team, shipmates, and wingmen that flotation device they need in transition so no one drowns in that sea of transition. And as always, don't forget to grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline.